Hello. Welcome to this journey, a pathworking of the sphere of Malkuth. In the Hebrew Kabbalistic system of the Tree of Life, Malkuth is the lowest and closest to us sphere, as opposed to the higher spheres, wherein reside the sun, moon, and stars. Malkuth is our earth. Malkuth is everything that is empirical, everything that you can see, hear, taste, touch, or smell is Malkuth. Malkuth is the earth. Malkuth is bordered upon by the realms of the spirits, be they our ancestors or other spirits of people that have passed on but not completely passed on. And our ancestors truly are always around us. Below Malkuth is the kingdom of the Qliphoth, who are the shells, the fragments, the disassociated pieces. Malkuth is associated with both element Earth, but more especially the planet Earth. Malkuth is everything that is on Earth, the oceans and forests, the cities and buildings, the people. Malkuth is the temple. If you are a practicing magical person who has a temple, a circle, an altar, that is Malkuth. Malkuth is also the temple of our bodies being temples of spirit, and there is no part of us that is not of the gods. Malkuth as the material world in the Hebrew system is the first gate that one passes on the journey of initiation. This pathworking of the Gate of Malkuth is taken largely from Chic and Cicero's work in Garden of Pomegranates, a reproduction of Israel Regardie's original work, Garden of Pomegranates. So, let's begin by grounding and centering. If you haven't already, find a comfortable position, either sitting lotus style, sitting comfortably on a chair, or laying down. It is best that your spine is straight to help the Kundalini energy that rises to travel directly through the other spheres. And if you will, you may take 3 deep breaths with me. Deep breath in, nice and slow. Hold and out, and let every muscle, every cell, every fiber of your being relax. Let all the tension just melt away. And again, deep breath in. Hold and out. Let everything just melt away. And one more deep breath in. Hold and out. And let every muscle of your body, every muscle in your face, tiny minute muscles, your scalp, shoulders falling down, everything just relaxing more and more. This is a wonderful inward journey that we are about to take. In your mind's eye, you see yourself facing the gate to the astral temple of Malkuth. A large door is in front of you, The door is divided into 4 colors: citrine, olive, russet, and black. The colors form triangles which come together in the center of the door. Carved into this portal is the letter Mem, the initial letter of Malkuth, painted in white. Astrally, you give the sign of projection and step through the door into the Temple of Malkuth. And if you aren't familiar, the sign of projection is simply thrusting your arms over your head and reaching forward as you bend just a little. Once you're on the other side, you give the sign of silence, which is simply and beautifully putting your index finger of your left hand to your lips. The temple is a great 10-sided chamber with walls built from heavy brown earthen bricks. The floor is divided into black and white tiles. Enormous oak columns, encircled with thick vines, support a ceiling of pure rock crystal. In the southern side of the temple is a great roaring hearth. Embedded in the western wall is a blue mosaic relief of an eagle. The mouth of the bird forms a spout from which water gushes into a basin at the bottom of the mosaic. To the north is a large, round, gray millstone used for grinding grain. In the east is a great brazier of incense made of gold. The scent of dittany of Crete fills the air. In the middle of the chamber stands a black altar carved out of solid oak. It is covered by a cloth which is divided, like the door leading to the temple, into the colors of citrine, olive, russet, and black. The center of the altar cloth is white, and on it is a bright burning flame. Drawing nearer to the light, you intone the divine name of this temple. Adonai Haaretz. The flame burns brilliantly as you do so. Next, you intone the name of the Archangel who governs the forces of this sphere. Sandalphon. Then you vibrate the name of the angelic order who operate in Malkuth, the Ashim, the souls of fire, who are the essence of the sacred temple flame. They are angels of adoration who dance like floating embers around the central altar fire. They are, in fact, the souls of human beings who are dedicated to the service of the light. Within the swirling clouds of incense in the east, a figure emerges, appearing as a tall, feminine form in robes of citrine, olive, russet, and black. It's the Archangel Sandalphon, with dark hair and compassionate brown eyes. Instinctively, you throw your hands over your shoulders and out in front of you, giving the projecting sign, and Sandalphon answers with the sign of silence by putting her finger to her lips. She speaks. You have entered the realm of the resplendent intelligence. By what symbol dost thou enter herein? And you answer, by this symbol of the eagle-armed cross. And you hold up to her the eagle-armed cross. You face the Archangel across the light of the altar as she directs your attention to the temple flame burning radiantly in a bowl of crystal. Prepare to enter the immeasurable region, she tells you. The temple around you seems to become transparent. It fades from view and is replaced by cloud and mist. Before you is an image of a great flaming sword which is bent like a bolt of lightning. Sandalphon emerges from the mist and stands to the left of the sword. This time she is clothed in dark robes, her great wings thrown back to form a halo of glory around her entire figure. Two rays of light emanate from the sides of her head, looking somewhat like the royal horns of a Babylonian crown. Another figure emerges, standing to the right of the sword, a masculine figure with dark curly hair and a beard. His white robes are so brilliant it is hard to make out where the robes end and his glory begins. His wings are also thrown back in a halo, and his head is graced with the two horn-like rays of light. Both figures stand on either side of the flaming sword, with their arms outstretched in the form of a Tau cross. Communicating without moving her lips, Sandalphon speaks to you in your mind. And Tetragrammaton Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and out of the ground made Tetragrammaton Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also, in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This is the tree that has two paths, and it is the 10th Sephirot Malkov, and it is about 7 columns, and the 4 splendors whirl about it, as in the vision of the Merkabah of Ezekiel. And from Gedula it derives an influx of mercy, and from Gevurah an influx of severity. And the tree of knowledge of good and evil shall it be, until it is united with the supernals in Dath. But the good which is under it is called the Archangel Metatron, and the evil is called Samael. And between these two contraries lies the straight and narrow way, where the Archangel Sandalphon keeps watch. The souls and the angels are above its branches, and the Qliphoth, or demons, dwell under its roots. Metatron speaks without moving. Learn, then, to separate the pure from the impure, and refine the gold of spirit from the black dragon, the corruptible body. The two great archangels, Sandalphon and Metatron, cross their arms over their chests. In a flash of light, they and the sword are gone. In their place is a great waterfall, the source of which stretches up to heaven itself. It terminates into 4 rivers which flow off in the 4 cardinal directions. To your right is a river of fire, to your left is a river of water, before you is a river of air, behind you is a river of earth. Michael, the Archangel of Fire, emerges from the river of fire in the south. He is brilliant, flaming, a masculine figure, dark-haired and dressed in red armor and green chainmail. A flowing red cloak hangs from his shoulders, his wings are feathered in red and tipped with green. He bears a sword, for he is a great warrior and a protector. It seems strange how such a powerful figure can evoke feelings of awe and comfort at the same time. You ask to see the workings of elemental fire in the realm of Malkuth. Michael reaches under his cloak and pulls out a red fire triangle, which he touches to your heart. feeling of warmth begins to radiate through your chest. The Archangel takes your hand, and together you fly up to a high wooded mountaintop, where a fierce thunderstorm is lashing the earth. The black storm clouds churn noisily against the sky. As you descend to the ground, a great cracking sound splits the air. A bolt of lightning severs a large branch of an old oak tree in a blast of light and thunder. The charred end of the severed branch is still burning as Michael picks it up for you to examine. You gaze into the fire, but its heat is intense, and you do not quite understand what the Archangel wants you to do. It's hot, you tell him. Look deeper, he replies. You gaze into the fire, not with your physical eyes, but with your inner vision. Your vision of the fire seems to warp, as if the image of the fire was shifting dimension. The heat of the fire lessens. At least it doesn't seem to bother you anymore. You now see white flames, not red, and you realize that you are looking at fire on a microscopic as well as a microscopic level. You can see the physical source of fire is a rapid chemical change that releases heat, energy, and light that is accompanied by flame, and is the oxidation of combustible substance. Yet you can also see the spiritual source of the chemical reaction taking place as a result of the workings of spiritual creatures known as salamanders, the elemental beings of fire. You see small, dancing, flame-like creatures forming into S shapes and joining together to begin the process of combustion. As two salamanders twist together, like serpents on the staff of Hermes, they produce a flaming spark. You see also one entity who is the leader of the others, a small, red-haired, human-like figure who sits cross-legged in the center of the flaming creatures. Michael tells you that this is Djinn, the king of the salamanders. The vision fades as you draw your consciousness out of the flaming branch. Michael points to an area of dense undergrowth next to the blasted oak tree. The lightning has set off a brush fire which has spread widely through the woods. You are dismayed at this destruction, but Michael tells you that this particular fire is beneficial to the forest, clearing old dead trees and brushwood so that new saplings have a chance to take root and grow. Your anxiety lessens as you realize that this purification will in the long run be good for the old forest. You contemplate the heat within your own body and how your body works to change food into heat and energy. Michael seems pleased with you. He takes your hand once more and the two of you fly back to the junction of the four rivers. As you set down on the ground, Gabriel, the Archangel of Water, emerges from the river of water in the west. She is a flowing, feminine figure with a full body and face, fair-haired and dressed in robes of blue and orange, with an orange rope around her waist. Her wings shimmer like liquid glass, and she bears a large blue cup. She is very lovely and comforting to look at. You ask her to show you the workings of elemental water in the realm of Malkuth. Gabriel reaches into the folds of her robe and pulls out a blue water triangle. She touches it to your navel. A feeling of warmth begins to radiate there. The Archangel takes your hand, and together you fly over a vast ocean. Far below you are several dolphins, breaking the surface of the waves in play. Farther ahead, you spot a pair of blue whales, truly giant creatures, blowing spray from their massive heads as they exhale. You and the Archangel pass over these peaceful creatures. At length you see small dots of land, islands of earth against the vast canvas of the sea. Gabriel sets you down on one of these small pockets of land. In the center of the island is a small freshwater stream which flows out to the sea. Gabriel instructs you to cup your hands together and fill them with fresh water and observe. So you do so. It's wet, you tell her. Look deeper, she replies. You gaze into the water again, this time with your inner vision. Your image of the water seems to bubble and warp as if undergoing a dimensional shift. The bubbles disappear as you gaze into the microcosmic level of water. Against the pure translucence of water, you see atoms of different chemical compounds bonding together and forming molecules of new substance. But you also see tiny spiritual beings, tiny orange and blue eel-like creatures swimming in endless circles, penetrating the borders of each new molecule, even penetrating the borders of microscopic bodies of animals and plants through osmosis. These are the undines, the elemental beings of water, silently doing their divine work, passing information and consciousness from one molecule to the next, cycling energy patterns, causing ripples of manifestation, movement and flow, and initiating the process of purification. In the midst of these undulating creatures is one who has human features and bluish skin, looking somewhat like a water sprite from European folktales of long ago. Gabriel tells you that this is Nixa, Queen of the Undines. And the vision fades as you draw your consciousness out of the water in your cupped hands. Gabriel tells you to drink the water, and you do so, letting the cool liquid quench your thirst. You imagine the undines moving within your body, taking food to all the individual cells of your body, and carrying away toxins. The thought of this process of purification leaves you feeling cleansed and refreshed. You look up and see the tranquil features of Gabriel. She takes your hand once more, and the two of you fly back over the ocean to the junction of the four rivers. As you sat down on the ground, Raphael, the Archangel of Air, emerges from the river of air in the east. He is a tall, ethereal figure, fair-haired and dressed in robes of yellow and violet. His pale yellow wings are diaphanous and transparent, like the mist itself. He holds the caduceus wand of Hermes. Never have you seen a more regal-looking figure. You ask him to show you the workings of elemental air in the realm of Malkuth. Raphael reaches into the folds of his robe and pulls out a yellow air triangle. He touches it to the base of your throat. A feeling of warmth begins to radiate there. The Archangel takes your hand and together you fly high above the clouds. Soon you are soaring higher than even the birds dare to fly. The wind whips through your hair and clothes. You pass in and out of the clouds, feeling their cool moisture on your skin. You plunge toward the earth at breakneck speed, only to turn away at the last moment, climbing high into the stratosphere. Then Raphael takes you high above the mesosphere, some 50 miles above the Earth's surface. From here you can see whole land masses between the breaks in the clouds. Above you is the vastness of darkening space, the stars and the planets in their silent majesty. What do you see below? The Archangel asks. Clouds, you answer. Look deeper, he replies. You gaze into the atmosphere again, this time with your inner vision. Your vision of the Earth's surface seems to warp and curve. You now see the patterns of air currents over the planet's exterior, as if they were painted in different colors with an artist's brush. The shifting air currents, the changes in wind speed and air temperature, the formation of thunderstorms and whirling patterns of hurricanes are all visible to you. You can see how crucial the volatile element of air is to the Earth's weather, and how it often works in tandem with the element water. It wraps the Earth in a protective blanket and makes all life possible. Raphael takes you down through the atmosphere, plummeting earthward. When you are near the earth, he slows, and you gracefully touch down on the ground with barely any effort at all. Raphael gestures toward a grassy field surrounded by a grove of trees. With your inner vision, you see thousands of sylphs, tiny spiritual beings with gossamer wings, carrying lanterns. From a distance, they resemble fireflies. The lanterns they bear are the containers of the life-giving spark that is carried by the air to all air-breathing creatures. Even water creatures need this spark, obtaining it through gills or through skin. The element of fire also needs the life-giving air for combustion. A group of sylphs flutter around one who is larger than the others, resembling an elf or pixie with the wings of a dragonfly. Raphael tells you that this is Paralda, king of the sylphs. As you stand there, you breathe in the sylphs. Their oxygen enters your lungs and is carried to all parts of your body. You feel the life force in every cell. Invigorated, you look up and see Raphael smiling down at you. He takes your hand once more and the two of you fly back to the junction of the four rivers. As you set down on the ground, Uriel, the Archangel of Earth, emerges from the river of Earth in the north. Like a fairer version of Sandalphon, Uriel is also dressed in robes of citrine, olive, russet, and black. Her wings are black, tipped with white, and she holds stems of ripening wheat in her hands. You ask her to show you the workings of elemental earth in the realm of Malkuth. Uriel reaches into the folds of her robe and pulls out a black earth triangle. She touches it to your feet. A feeling of warmth begins to radiate there. The Archangel takes your hand, and together you fly over miles of mountainous terrain, flat grasslands, and lush rainforests. Suddenly, Uriel plunges into the earth. Although you are startled, you are unharmed. The two of you burrow downward into the soil. Finally, you drop into a cavern with an underground stream flowing through it that sparkles randomly with gemstones. The floor of the cave is alive with creatures, insects, and earthworms. Uriel kneels down to examine the ground, and she tells you to do the same. "What do you see?" she asks. "Bugs and rocks," you answer. "Look deeper," she replies. You gaze into the earth again, this time with your inner vision. Your image of the ground seems to bubble and distort. The distortions disappear as you gaze into the microcosmic level of Earth. As you focus your vision into the black background of soil, you see spiritual beings directing the movements of the insects. These entities are small black creatures of various description. They are the gnomes. Some look like creatures of European folklore, but others look like black earthworms or amoebas with auras. Such a variety. Several of the creatures are performing different functions. Some are pressing dirt and minerals into gemstones. Some are creating pockets of metal ore. Some are directing earthworms to tunnel through the ground, aerating the soil. Some are releasing minerals from dead organic matter back into the soil. Such busy creatures for such a static element. One of the more classical-looking gnomes, larger than most, stands in the midst of the others. Uriel tells you that this is Gob, king of the gnomes. You reach down into the soil and find crystals of salt. You realize that your entire body is composed from the minerals of the earth. You and the earth are made of the same substance. Parts of you once existed in other creatures, in plants, and in the soil itself. Uriel interrupts your contemplation. It is time to go back. The Archangel takes your hand and pulls you out of the earth. She flies you back to the junction of the 4 rivers. The 4 archangels surround you once more. Like ancient megaliths, they tower over you. But they still have more to show you. With your inner vision, you see the planet Earth suspended in the midst of the 4 archangels. You see what environmental imbalance and clipotic evil unleashed by humanity can do to the planet. You see a rainforest the size of the state of New Jersey, burnt to the ground in a day. You see the burning of fossil fuels and the metric tons of pollution they throw into the air. And you see deadly toxins dumped into the planet's oceans and rivers, seeping into the groundwater that we drink. You also see acres of wilderness areas bulldozed, replaced by buildings and parking lots. All of these events happen on a daily basis. This vision shows you the material desires of humanity running amok and endangering the earth we live on. It is a sobering image, and you vow to use your powers of discrimination to help restore the earth's balance in whatever manner you can. The archangels offer some final advice to you. Raphael looks at you and says, "Be prompt and active as the sylphs. but avoid frivolity and caprice. Michael looks at you and says, be energetic and strong like the salamanders, but avoid irritability and ferocity. And Gabriel looks towards you and says, be flexible and attentive to images like the undines, but avoid idleness and changeability. And Uriel looks at you and says to you, be laborious and patient like the gnomes, but avoid grossness and avarice. And now Sandalphon looks to you, and she tells you, so shall you gradually develop the powers of your soul, and fashion yourself to be a worthy vessel for the divine light. The 4 archangels and the elements are gone in a flash of light. You are in the temple of Malkuth again, standing in front of the altar across from Sandalphon. You have never left the temple in your pathworking. Sandalphon seems pleased with you. The halo of light that surrounds her at all times seems to glow even more brightly. You thank Sandalphon for this, the first of many explorations of the Tree of Life. She graciously nods her head and fades from view. You turn and face the portal through which you first entered the temple, giving the projection sign by throwing your hands over your shoulders and thrusting them forward. You step through. Once on the other side, you turn and put your hands to your lips in the sign of silence. The pathworking is over. Give yourself a good stretch, a nice deep breath, and maybe a glass of water. Blessed be.